Hey everyone, ready to train those brains for some serious wealth building action?
Always ready for that.
So we're diving deep today with Train Your Brain to Get Rich.
Oh, a good one.
Yeah, and I really want to see if this whole brain rewiring thing is legit. Like, can we actually program ourselves for financial success? You know?
That's the big question, right?
It is. And luckily, we've got our expert here to help us unpack all of it.
Well, let's see if we can decode those money mysteries.
All right, so where did we even begin with this whole brain training for wealth thing?
Well, the book starts with a really interesting concept.
Okay, lay it on me.
It's called the four capitals.
Four capitals. Okay, now you've got my attention. I'm intrigued. Tell me more.
So instead of just thinking about wealth as money, right,
Right.
it expands the definition. It's like a portfolio, but for your whole life.
I like that idea.
Yeah. So you've got your human capital.
Human capital.
That's your health, your skills, your knowledge, your well-being, how much you invest in yourself. Then there's intellectual capital, which is your knowledge and expertise.
Makes sense.
Then, of course, there's financial capital, which is the money, the assets, the investments, the tangible stuff.
Yeah, the one we usually think about.
Exactly. And then there's social capital,
Social capital.
which is your network, the relationships you build and nurture, the connections you make.
So it's about more than just money in the bank. It's about cultivating all these different areas of your life.
Exactly. It's like a more holistic view of wealth.
I'm digging this already. So how does this tie into brain training?
Well, that's where things get really interesting. The book makes this fascinating argument that money itself isn't actually a primary motivator.
Hold up. How can money not be a primary motivator? Don't we all want more of it?
Of course, on the surface, yeah.
Right.
But think about it. Go way back. Think about our hunter-gatherer ancestors.
Okay, going way back.
Money didn't keep them alive. What did? Food, water, shelter, and reproduction.
Right, the essentials.
Those were the primary drivers.
Survival of the fittest, right.
Exactly. Our brains evolved to seek those things out.
So money's like secondary to all that.
Exactly. Money gets its power from what it represents, the things it can buy, the security it provides, and ultimately how it helps us achieve those primal needs.
Okay, I see what you mean. It's like money is a tool to get to those things our brains are really wired for.
Precisely. The book uses this great example. Imagine someone buying a yacht.
All right, fancy yacht. I'm picturing it.
It's not just about the yacht itself.
It's about what it represents.
Exactly. It's about the status it brings, the potential to attract a mate, and ultimately that drive to reproduce. It's all connected.
So we're basically walking around with these ancient brains trying to navigate this crazy modern world of finance.
It's a bit of an evolutionary catch-up, right?
It is, yeah. So knowing that, how do we even begin to rewire those instincts for today's financial world? I mean, I feel like I'm constantly battling my impulses.
Well, the book dives into that. But first, we need to talk about how our brains can be both our best friend and our worst enemy when it comes to money.
Okay, I'm listening. Tell me more about this brain battle.
So we have these amazing strengths, like our ability to recognize patterns, which can be really helpful in financial markets.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But then we have limitations, like we tend to overemphasize recent events or we struggle with long-term trends.
Oh, I feel that one. Like that whole fear of missing out thing.
Exactly. Our brains are wired for immediate gratification, thanks to those survival instincts.
Explains a lot about my online shopping habits.
But in today's world, delayed gratification is often the key to building lasting wealth, you know?
It's that long game, yeah.
Exactly.
So our brains are kind of brilliant and flawed when it comes to money. I'm starting to get this.
That's the key takeaway.
So how do we bridge that gap? How do we start to rewire those ancient instincts for modern success?
Well, before we jump into solutions, we need to understand the problem a bit more.
Okay, let's get to the root of the problem.
We all carry these subconscious beliefs about wealth.
Uh-oh, that sounds dangerous.
They are. They're called money scripts. And they can sabotage our financial success without us even realizing it.
Money scripts. What are we talking about here?
Think of them like mental programs we inherit from our families, our experiences, the messages we've absorbed throughout our lives.
They're like running in the background, huh?
They are. They're under the surface, influencing our decisions in ways we don't always recognize.
Okay, give me an example.
Absolutely. One common money script is the belief that wealth only comes from dishonesty. If you grew up hearing that rich people are greedy or money is the root of all evil, you might subconsciously sabotage yourself to avoid becoming one of them.
That makes sense. It's like you're afraid of success almost.
It can be a real barrier.
Wow, I never thought about it like that. But it's true. So these scripts can really hold us back.
They can. Another common script is the association of spending with love.
Ooh, interesting. Tell me more about that.
So maybe you received gifts as a substitute for emotional connection in your childhood, which can lead to a pattern of overspending to try and fill that void.
I see the connection.
These scripts are powerful.
They are. So how do we even identify these things? Like, how do we bring these money scripts to the surface?
Well, the book has this really interesting "What is Wealth?" quiz.
A quiz, huh? I do love a good self-assessment. Let's dig into that. Okay, so let's talk about this quiz. Give our listeners a little sneak peek.
Yeah, let's dive in.
What kind of questions are on this What is Wealth quiz?
So the full quiz is in the book. It's pretty extensive.
Right.
But we can highlight a few key questions just to kind of get our listeners thinking.
Perfect. Yeah, let's do that.
So listener, first question.
Hit me with it.
Do you believe that rich people are more likely to be dishonest?
Ooh, that's a good one. Makes you think.
Right. It really gets to the heart of how we view wealth.
Yeah, it challenges those deep-seated beliefs.
Exactly.
Okay, so what's the next question on this quiz?
All right, next one. Do you find yourself uncomfortable talking about money, even with people you're close to?
Oh, that one's interesting. I feel like a lot of people can probably relate to that.
Right. It's really common.
It's like money's this taboo subject.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, what's the last question for our listeners to ponder today?
All right, last one. Do you ever catch yourself buying things on impulse, even when you know you can't really afford them?
Ooh, yeah, that one hits close to home for sure.
It's a classic, right? Impulse buys.
Yeah, it's tough to resist sometimes.
Definitely. So those are just a few examples.
Yeah, those are some thought-provoking questions. I bet our listeners are already having some aha moments.
I hope so.
So what can we learn from the answers? Like, what do different responses tell us about those hidden money scripts we were talking about?
Yeah, so let's break it down a little bit.
Okay.
If you answered yes to that first one, that rich people are more likely to be dishonest,
Okay.
it could indicate a belief that wealth comes at a moral cost, right?
Yeah, that makes sense.
And that can create a barrier to success because you might avoid behaviors that could lead to wealth, even if they're ethical.
So you're holding yourself back without even realizing it?
Exactly. It's subconscious.
Wow. Okay, so what about that second question, the one about being uncomfortable talking about money?
Yeah, so if you answered yes to that one, it often points to a fear of judgment or shame around the topic.
Right, like it's something to be ashamed of.
Yeah, exactly.
Which I think is a pretty common feeling, unfortunately.
It is. And it can prevent you from seeking financial advice, negotiating for better pay, or even just having open conversations about money with your loved ones.
Yeah, it creates this wall of silence around the topic.
And that could be really detrimental.
It can be. Okay, what about that last question about impulse buys?
Yeah, that one can suggest that you might be using spending as a coping mechanism.
Ah, interesting.
For stress or boredom or other emotion.
Retail therapy. We've all been there.
We have. It might also tie back to those money scripts that link spending with love or happiness.
Right, like if you buy something nice for yourself or for someone else, it makes you feel better temporarily.
Exactly. But it's not a sustainable solution.
It's not, no. So taking this quiz and understanding your answers is just the first step.
It is.
What's next? What can people do with this newfound awareness?
Yeah, that's the key question. And that's where the exciting part comes in. This is where the book delves into the brain training aspect.
Okay, brain training time. I'm ready.
It's all about using the power of neuroscience to rewire our thinking for financial success.
Neuroscience. Wait, are you saying we can actually change the way our brains are wired?
Well, it might sound futuristic, but it's backed by research. Our brains are constantly changing and evolving. We're not stuck with the wiring we were born with.
That is mind-blowing. So how do we tap into this power? What are some things people can do to actually rewire those financial habits?
Well, the book lays out a multifaceted approach.
Okay.
It starts with mindfulness.
Mindfulness, okay.
Paying attention to your thoughts and feelings around money. Catching yourself when those negative scripts pop up.
So it's about being aware of those subconscious thoughts.
Exactly. You can choose to challenge them.
Yeah.
It's also crucial to set clear financial goals, create a solid plan.
So it's a combination of mindset and action.
You got it. And it's not just about changing your mindset either.
Okay, what else is there?
The book also emphasizes the connection between our minds and bodies.
Oh, interesting.
It talks about the impact of things like exercise, meditation, even getting enough sleep on our financial decision-making.
So it's a holistic approach.
It is.
I like that.
Mind, body, and finances all connected.
They are. And there's this undercurrent of optimism in the book, which I really appreciate.
Absolutely. It's empowering.
It is. It doesn't make us feel trapped by our wiring.
It shows us that we have the power to change.
We do. So it's about understanding those money scripts, recognizing our strengths, and being open to continuous learning.
Exactly. It's a journey, not a destination.
I love that. All right, so to wrap up this part of our conversation, what's the one key takeaway you hope our listeners are walking away with today?
Well, I think the main takeaway is that understanding how your brain really works with money is the essential first step toward financial success.
It's not just about the numbers, it's about mastering your mindset.
Precisely. It's about uncovering those subconscious scripts and rewriting them to create a more abundant life.
It's like we're on a treasure hunt for our own minds,
I like that analogy.
uncovering those hidden gems that can lead to greater financial freedom.
Absolutely. And that wraps up this part of our deep dive.
You know, it's amazing how much our mindset really impacts our finances.
It's huge, right?
Yeah.
We've only scratched the surface here.
Yeah, and that's what I love about these deep dives. There's always more to explore.
Always. This is really just a starting point. The book goes into so much more detail.
Right, like those specific brain training techniques.
Exactly. But I think we've given our listeners a good foundation.
Yeah, for sure. We talked about those four capitals, that whole idea of money as a secondary reinforcer.
And don't forget those money scripts
Oh, yeah, those sneaky scripts.
lurking in the shadows.
They are. But the good news is we can rewire those brains.
We can. That's the power of neuroplasticity.
It's incredible, really. It's not about becoming some financial guru overnight.
No, it's about understanding your own mind.
And working with it, not against it.
Exactly.
I love that. It's all about empowerment.
It is. And it starts with awareness.
Awareness of those thoughts and patterns.
Exactly. Once you understand how your brain works, you can make choices that align with your goals.
So, to sum it all up for our listeners, what's the one thing you really want them to remember from this deep dive?
That's a good question. I'd say it's this. Your brain is your most valuable asset when it comes to building wealth.
Ooh, I like that. Your brain is your biggest asset.
It is. Understanding how it works,
Yeah.
how it reacts to money,
Yeah.
how to rewire those old patterns, that's the key.
It's not just about the numbers. It's about mastering your mindset.
Exactly.
And that's a journey.
It is. It's ongoing. Continuous learning, growth, self-discovery.
So true. You know, speaking of self-discovery, I do want to leave our listeners with one final thought.
All right, hit me with it.
So we've talked about how these money scripts are often subconscious, right?
Right, hidden below the surface.
Yeah, if we're not even aware of them, how do we actually start to uncover them and rewrite them?
That's the million-dollar question.
It is. It's like, where do we even begin?
It takes some serious introspection,
It does.
a willingness to really look inward
To examine those beliefs.
and be open to challenging them.
It's not always easy.
It's not, but the rewards are worth it.
They are. It's like peeling back the layers of an onion,
Right. I love that analogy.
revealing those hidden beliefs that have been shaping our financial reality.
And as you peel back those layers, you create space for new beliefs to take root.
Powerful stuff. Well, that wraps up our deep dive into Train Your Brain to Get Rich for today.
It does.
We hope you've enjoyed this exploration.
I hope so.
Remember, you have the power to rewire your brain and create the financial future you desire.
You absolutely do.
Keep learning, keep growing, and keep diving deep, everyone.
See you next time.